This incident occurred in the spring of 1993, so I was a senior in high school. But before I get into it, I think a little backstory is warranted here because it goes to show you how small of a world this really is. At the time, I was friends with somebody named Trina, and she had a younger sister who I would come to forget about for a few years. After high school, Trina and my friendship just kind of faded. It happens. Well, I would eventually move to Indiana over half a decade ago, and social media, especially Facebook with its nice stalker apps, she came up as someone I might know, so I sent a message and we got reconnected after more than a quarter century. Every year, obviously 2020 being an exception, Trina and her husband throw Halloween parties at their house. In 2017, I met someone named Sarah at one of these Halloween parties. Sarah would eventually become my wife. Sarah was friends with Trina's younger sister, Melissa, who I had forgotten about. If you see this, Melissa, I apologize. So why am I giving you this backstory? Well, let's go back to 1993, to Trina's house in Homewood. I don't remember why we were really hanging out. Her entire family was there, apparently, according to her sister and my wife. So her parents were also there. She had made me a tape with Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." As if that isn't creepy enough in and of itself, she forgot to hand me the tape when we were going to leave. It was up on her dresser in her room. So I volunteered to go back up and grab it so we could get going. Because yes, cassette tapes were still a thing in the early 1990s. When people encounter the spooky or unexplained, we tend to be more prone to seeing these things at night, which should send up some big red flags as well. But this particular incident happened during broad daylight. I just want to make a quick note. Most of the weird things that have happened to me have happened during the day on very nice days. They aren't the kind of thing that my mind would produce sitting in an isolated cabin in the middle of the woods at 3 a.m. in the morning after being alone for 3 weeks with my own thoughts. So the spooky and odd can often happen on a nice, sunny, beautiful day. As I went up the stairs and entered Trina's room, I saw a little girl sitting on the edge of her bed. I turned my head away towards the dresser, looking at her for maybe a second tops, and saying, "Hi, Melissa," thinking it was her younger sister. There was no response. I don't remember a hair color or an eye color or anything odd about this girl, except maybe the body proportions were off a little. That seems to be in my memory for some reason, although apparently my friends remember this better than I do. But she was wearing a blue dress, and she was not looking directly at me. I only glanced at her for maybe a second, and I go to grab the tape off the dresser, and when I turn around, she's just gone. Now, this freaked me out a little bit because there was no noise. She didn't say anything. I didn't hear a bed creak, nothing like that. Nothing to indicate in such a short period of time that she could have gotten up off the bed and left. And if she had, she would have made some noise. I mean, the whole thing took maybe 3 seconds. And as I looked out of the bedroom into the hall, I didn't see anything either. So now I started to think a little bit that something was up. So I went down the stairs, and apparently when I got down the stairs, I grabbed Trina and said, "Let's just go now," or something to that general effect, basically wanting to leave in angst. Now, according to them, stuff like this kind of happened frequently in that old house. We know that whoever this little girl was, it was not her younger sister, Melissa. And the more I think about it and the more I talk about it with others, the girl was too young anyway. She apparently was about 5 or 6 years old, somewhere around there. So what did I see? Well, I saw a little girl sitting on a bed, and it really wasn't out of the corner of my eye. I did catch a look at her, even if it was for a second, so it wasn't like something barely seen in my field of vision. And when I turned around, she was gone. So, what was it? I don't know. Did I see something? I think I did. Could it all have been a product of my imagination? That is possible. I had already been introduced to some of the weird happenings in the house from stories of Trina and others. But for what it actually was, I will never know.